The Grand Galactic Academy stood like a shining fortress among the stars, its towers glowing with blue energy. Cadets from across the galaxy filled its halls, some with scaled skin, some with wings, others with glowing eyes, each one representing a proud warrior race. And then came the human girl. She was small compared to the others, her skin pale, her frame thin, her eyes calm but steady. She walked into the training hall without fear, though laughter followed her. The aliens whispered to one another, their voices sharp with mockery. "Is that the Deathworlder cadet?" one alien hissed, his long mandibles clicking. "She looks weak, she looks fragile. She will not survive the first round." Others laughed, their voices echoing. They had read the reports. Earth was a world of storms, poisons, predators. Yet this girl looked nothing like the monsters they imagined. To them, she was nothing more than a child who wandered into the lion's den. The instructor, a tall reptilian creature with scarred scales, raised his hand. His voice boomed. "Cadets, today begins the trial of reflex and endurance, the first step to proving your worth in this academy." His golden eyes swept across the room and paused for a moment on the human girl, but he said nothing more. The floor of the training hall shifted. Drones rose from hidden panels, their eyes glowing red. They moved with speed and precision, weaving through the air, firing small stun bolts designed to test reflexes. The cadets spread out, their bodies ready. The human girl stood quietly, her fists loose, her breathing steady. The laughter returned. "She will fall before the first drone reaches her," someone mocked. The trial began. The first wave of drones shot forward. The alien cadets leaped, twisted, dodged. Some slashed with claws, others used tails or armored fists. The air rang with the sound of strikes and deflection. And the human girl moved too, but her steps were slower, her dodges clumsy. The drone struck her shoulder and side. Sparks of energy rippled across her uniform. The crowd laughed louder. "She cannot keep up. She is too slow. The humans are nothing but weak prey," a cadet shouted. His chest puffed with pride as he dodged 3 drones at once. The scoreboard lit up. Names and numbers flashed. The human girl's name remained near the bottom. Each hit against her body counted. Each miss reduced her rank. The aliens cheered. They believed the battle already won. They saw her as proof that humanity did not belong in their galaxy. But the girl's eyes told a different story. She was not broken. She was not defeated. Every strike she took, every stumble she made, it was measured, it was controlled. She was watching, she was learning. Minutes passed, the trial ended, the drones returned to their docks. The scoreboard displayed her rank. She was last, the weakest of all cadets. The laughter roared like thunder. The instructor looked at her, his gaze unreadable. Then he called for the next trial, endurance. The cadets lined up again. This time the drones would chase them across the gravity track. A long arena with shifting weights and obstacles. The floor bent and twisted under their feet. One moment heavy as stone, the next light as air. The whistle blew. The cadets surged forward. The human girl followed at the back. Her movements slow, awkward. The drones lashed out with bolts of light. She staggered, almost fell. The aliens jeered. "Pathetic Deathworlder, even gravity breaks her." The girl clenched her teeth, her breath ragged, yet in her silence there was no shame, no fear, only patience. Because she was not here to win today, not yet. She was here to study them, to measure every strength, every weakness, to wait for the moment no one expected. As the second trial ended, the scoreboard once again placed her near the bottom, the hall filled with laughter. But a few cadets noticed something strange. Her eyes, they were calm, too calm for someone failing. One whispered quietly, almost nervously, "Why does she not look afraid?" No one answered. The laughter drowned it out. But in the silence between the voices, the seeds of unease began to grow. The human girl stood at the edge of the arena, her fists still loose, her body trembling slightly from the hits, yet her gaze fixed on the scoreboard, not with despair, but with calculation. She whispered under her breath, a voice too soft for others to hear, "Not yet." The others laughed again, but the storm had already begun, hidden in the heart of a girl they thought was weak. The second day of trials began under a pale blue light from the Academy's shielded dome. Alien cadets gathered in the training hall, their voices full of excitement, their eyes eager to see the human fail again. They remembered her clumsy moves, her low rank, her weak performance. To them, she was nothing more than entertainment, a fragile creature among giants. The instructor stepped forward, his scaled hands raised, his voice thundered. "Cadets, today you will face the strength towers, the trial that will measure your force, your endurance, and your will." His words echoed through the chamber. Massive columns of metal and stone rose from the floor, each glowing with shifting energy fields. The cadets were to strike them with full power. Each hit measured, each strike recorded. The scoreboard would decide who was strong and who was weak. The aliens prepared with pride, their muscles flexed, their claws sharpened, their tails whipped the air. They glanced at the human girl and laughed. "She will not dent the tower. Her bones will break before the stone does," one sneered. Another added, "When she fails again, we will request her removal. Deathworlders do not belong here." The human girl stood in silence, her eyes calm, her fists tight at her sides. She did not speak. She did not defend herself. She simply waited. The first cadet, a towering beast with armored skin, slammed his fist into the tower. The chamber shook, the energy meter spiked high, cheers erupted. The second cadet, a winged predator with glowing talons, ripped across the surface of another tower. Sparks flew, the score rose higher. One by one, the aliens struck, their names climbing the board, their voices growing louder with every display of power. Then came the human girl. The chamber fell silent. All eyes turned toward her, some sneered, some grinned. The instructor only watched, his face unreadable. She raised her fist, small compared to the others, and struck the tower once. A soft clang echoed. The tower barely moved. The scoreboard showed the lowest possible mark. The aliens burst into laughter, the sound sharp and cruel. "Pathetic," one shouted. "She cannot even scratch the surface." Another mocked. "The galaxy feared Deathworlders? This is their strength?" The girl lowered her hand, her knuckles reddened, but her face remained calm. She did not strike again. She simply walked back to her place. The laughter spread, filling the chamber. Even some instructors allowed smirks to appear on their faces. But then something unexpected happened. As the cadets continued, the towers shifted to their second phase, their cores glowing brighter, their surfaces heavier. Each strike now required double the strength. One by one, cadets began to fail. Their scores dropped. Their strikes weakened. Sweat poured from their bodies. The scoreboard flickered. Names shuffled. Prideful warriors now gasped for breath, their claws and fists bleeding against unbreakable stone. And still, the human girl waited, her eyes sharp, watching every detail, every weakness, every stumble. Finally, the instructor's voice echoed. "Second attempts permitted. Those who wish to prove themselves may step forward." The aliens, exhausted, staggered forward. Some managed to score again. Most fell short. The human girl stepped forward once more. Silence returned. The laughter was gone now, replaced with curiosity and a faint unease. She closed her eyes, inhaled deeply, her fists tightened, her stance shifted, no longer clumsy, no longer weak, but precise, balanced, controlled. Then she struck. The sound rang through the hall like thunder. The tower shook, cracks spread across its glowing surface. The energy meter spiked higher than anyone had reached. Gasps filled the chamber, eyes widened. The scoreboard lit up. Her name shot from the bottom to the very top. She broke the record, someone whispered in disbelief. "No, it cannot be. She is just a human," another stammered. The girl stepped back, her knuckles bleeding, her chest rising and falling with steady breaths, but her eyes burned with a hidden fire, a fire no one had seen before. The silence that followed was heavy. No laughter now, no mockery, only fear and awe. The instructor's eyes narrowed, his voice quiet but heavy. "So, the Deathworlder reveals her true nature." The cadets whispered among themselves. The same girl they mocked yesterday had just shattered a galactic record, and deep in the council chambers, far above the academy, a warning message was already being sent. Human potential, far more dangerous than expected. Whispers spread through the academy like fire across dry grass. The Deathworlder girl who had been mocked as weak now stood at the top of the scoreboard. Her single strike against the strength tower had shattered expectations and shaken the pride of entire species. The cadets no longer laughed. Their eyes carried unease, some even fear, because the one they believe, it fragile had revealed a strength that should not have been possible. The instructor, his scales gleaming under the blue light, raised his clawed hand. His voice echoed. Next trial, Reflex Arena. The hall darkened, the walls shifted. Drones emerged from hidden hatches, not simple test drones this time, but advanced hunter drones designed to overwhelm with speed and numbers. They darted through the air like sparks of fire, their glowing eyes searching, their stun bolts sharper, faster, relentless. The cadets spread out, some stretching their claws, others extending wings, preparing to show off their agility. They glanced at the human girl, waiting for her to stumble again, waiting to laugh, waiting to prove her record was a mistake. The horn blared. The trial began. The first wave of drones attacked. Cadets leaped and twisted, their movements fast, tails whipping, wings slicing, sparks flashing as claws deflected shots. The scoreboard lit up with names climbing and falling. The human girl stood still, her eyes locked on the drones, her body calm, her breathing measured. "Move, fool," one alien hissed. "You will be torn apart." A drone shot at her chest. She tilted her head slightly. The bolt passed by. Another fired. She stepped aside, her motions small, effortless, precise. The crowd went silent, her body barely moved, yet not a single bolt touched her. Then she struck. Her hand shot out faster than sight, crushing a drone mid-flight. Sparks rained down. Her name leaped upward on the board. The cadets froze, unable to believe what they saw. Another wave came. She moved again, her steps light, her arms sharp. She weaved through the storm of fire like water slipping between rocks. Every move was clean, every strike was final. Each drone she touched fell in pieces. Gasps filled the arena. One cadet whispered, She's not dodging like us. She's predicted. Among them. It was true, she wasn't just reacting, she was ahead of the drones, reading their paths before they moved, striking before they even reached her. The scoreboard exploded with numbers. Her name surged past the leaders. Alien cadets fell behind. Their claws too slow, their wings too heavy, their tails too clumsy compared to her lethal precision. By the end of the trial, the floor was littered with broken drones, their sparks fading. The scoreboard flashed the final result. First place, human cadet, new galactic record. The silence that followed was heavy. Cadets who once mocked her now stared with wide eyes, some trembling, some grinding their teeth in rage. "She was pretending all along," one muttered. "She tricked us." The instructor's gaze lingered on her, his voice low. "No, she was waiting." The human girl walked back to her place, her uniform marked with scorch lines, her hands bruised, yet her face calm, her eyes sharp like blades. She had revealed another piece of her hidden fire. But the trial was not only for cadets. In the shadows above, council observers watched from a hidden balcony, their whispers full of fear. "If this is one human child, what will their soldiers do?" one counselor muttered. Another replied, voice cold, "If they rise, no empire will stand." Back in the hall, the instructor announced, "Tomorrow begins the gauntlet, the final test of will. Few survive, none complete. Prepare yourselves." The cadets murmured nervously, but the human girl did not flinch. She looked at the towering gates of the gauntlet, her lips whispering only two words, "I'm ready." The gates of the gauntlet stood tall, black steel rising like a wall of shadows. Every cadet who saw it felt their hearts sink. For this was no ordinary trial. This was the test that separated warriors from corpses. The gauntlet was alive, its walls shifted with traps, its corridors filled with blades of energy, shifting gravity fields, and hunting machines programmed to crush intruders. No cadet had ever finished it. Most lapsed halfway, some never came out. The instructor's voice echoed deep and grim. "Enter if you dare, survive if you can." Cadets exchanged nervous glances, their bravado cracked, wings twitched, tails curled, scales rippled with fear. Even the strongest hesitated, but the human girl stepped forward without pause, her calm eyes fixed on the gates. Gasps spread through the hall, whispers rose. "She cannot be serious. She will die inside." No human can endure this. The gates opened with a growl, smoke and sparks spilling out. The girl walked inside. The gates slammed shut behind her. The arena screens lit up, showing every chamber of the gauntlet. The first corridor unleashed a storm of razor drones, sharp discs spinning fast. The girl dropped low, rolled forward, her body moving like water. Discs sliced the air above her head. One grazed her arm. Blood trickled down, but she kept running. The watchers leaned forward, eyes wide. She should be down already, one cadet muttered, his voice shaking. But she wasn't. She moved faster, sharper, every step guided by instincts honed on a death world, instincts no simulation could predict. The next chamber activated. Gravity shifted, pressing cadets flat in most cases, bones cracking under the force. The girl staggered, but forced herself upright, her teeth clenched, her legs trembling, her body bent like steel under fire. She moved forward step by step, refusing to kneel. The scoreboard lit up. Galactic record, longest survival in Chamber 2. The cadets gasped. Some shouted in disbelief, others fell into silence. "She is not breaking, she is adapting," whispered one instructor, his claws tapping nervously against the console. Then came the third chamber, walls closing in, spikes of plasma forcing her into a narrow path. Every breath risked a burn. Every wrong step meant death. She pressed her back against. One wall slipped sideways with impossible precision. The spikes missed her by a hair. The council observers in the shadows whispered among themselves, their voices urgent. This is not a cadet's performance. This is war instinct. Humans are too dangerous. Inside the gauntlet, the human girl reached the final corridor, the one no cadet had ever crossed. The floor cracked, fire burst upward. Drones rained bolts from above. The walls spat waves of electricity. It was chaos, a storm of death designed to break even the strongest species. But the girl did not stop. She ran forward, every muscle screaming, every breath a battle. Her body burned, her uniform torn, her skin bleeding, yet her eyes burned brighter than the fire around her. She leapt through flames, rolled under drones, dove through electric waves, each move perfect, each second a defiance of fate. The watchers rose to their feet, cadets shouting, instructors frozen, council members trembling. "She will not make it," someone gasped. But she did. With a final scream, she hurled herself across the collapsing floor, landing just beyond the exit. The gate slammed shut behind her, alarms blared, and the system announced in a booming voice, "Gauntlet complete. Galactic record broken. Unprecedented." The chamber went silent. No laughter, no mockery. Only the sound of heavy breathing and pounding hearts. The girl stood there, her body shaking, blood running down her arms, but her back straight, her gaze sharp. She had done what no one in the galaxy had done before. The instructor bowed his head slightly, a gesture no one had ever seen from him, his voice rough. "The Deathworlder has conquered the unconquerable." The cadets who once mocked her now looked away, shame burning in their eyes. Some whispered in fear, others in awe. And in the council chambers, voices rose in panic. If one human cadet can break the gauntlet, humanity is not just dangerous, humanity is unstoppable. The girl lifted her head, her voice calm but filled with fire. "This is only the beginning." The news of the gauntlet spread faster than light, across ships, colonies, and star systems. Her name carried like a storm. The Deathworlder cadet had done what no one in the galaxy ever could. She had conquered the unconquerable. At the academy, silence ruled the halls. Cadets who once mocked her now avoided her gaze. Their whispers had changed, no longer cruel laughter, but nervous awe. She broke the gauntlet. She is human. If one can do this, what will happen if more come? The instructors, once proud of their warriors, now exchanged uneasy glances, their records, their history, all shattered by a girl from a so-called primitive world. Above the academy, in the Grand Council chambers, the true storm began. The chamber was filled with rulers from dozens of species, their voices sharp, their faces grim. They had all seen the footage, the girl moving through fire, drones, and death itself, her body breaking but her will unyielding, her scream echoing as she crossed the final gate. One counselor with crystal skin that glowed red slammed his fist. "This is proof humans are a danger to every empire here." Another scaled and ancient hissed, "She is only a child, if a child can do this." What of their armies? What of their war leaders? Whispers rose. Fear spread like disease. Some spoke of containment, others of destruction. We must act before they rise. If humanity unites, none of us can stop them. End them before they end us. But not all agreed. A smaller voice broke through, an old counselor with silver eyes. You do not see the truth. She is not just dangerous, she is proof of what they can become. Maybe instead of fearing them, we must learn from them. The chamber erupted, shouts and arguments clashing like weapons, fear against hope, rage against wisdom. Meanwhile, the girl sat in silence in her quarters, her hands bandaged, her body aching, yet her spirit stronger than ever. She did not hear the voices in the council, but she felt the weight of eyes across the galaxy, watching her, judging her, fearing her. A small message appeared on her console, unsigned, hidden, only one line of text. You are not alone, others are waiting. Her eyes narrowed, her hand tightened around the bandage. She whispered to herself, so it begins. Back in the academy halls, challenges came to her one by one. Alien cadets desperate to restore their honor, to prove their species was still stronger. But each duel ended the same way. Her strikes too fast, her movements too sharp, her will unbreakable. Every victory she claimed was another nail in the coffin of alien pride, and another whisper of fear in the council chambers. The council gathered again, voices louder now. She must be contained, humanity must be contained. If not, the galaxy will burn. But deep inside those words was the truth they all feared most. The galaxy was already changing, the balance of power already shifting, because of one human cadet. And somewhere far away, on Earth itself, leaders watched the same footage with silent pride. They knew what the galaxy did not. This girl was only the first. The academy was no longer the same. Halls that once rang with laughter now carried whispers. Cadets who once mocked her now lowered their eyes. Fear had replaced arrogance. But fear always breeds danger. In the dark corners of the academy, powerful cadets gathered in secret, their pride wounded, their honor shattered. They spoke in low voices, their eyes burning with hate. She humiliated us all, one hissed, his claws scratching the table. She broke our records, she made us look weak, another growled. If we do not stop her, every species will bow to humans. A plan was made, not to challenge her in fair trial, but to break her in secret. That night, as the human girl walked the empty corridor back to her quarters, shadows moved. A group of alien cadets stepped out, their weapons hidden but sharp, their eyes filled with rage. You do not belong here, one spat. The galaxy will never kneel to a Deathworlder. The girl stood still, her bandaged hands at her sides, her eyes calm but sharp. If you want to fight, she whispered, do it openly. But they did not. They attacked in the shadows, claws slashing, blades flashing. The corridor erupted in chaos. Sparks flew as metal clashed against stone. Her body moved faster than their hate. She dodged, she struck, every motion precise. She dropped one cadet with a blow to the chest, spun and disarmed another, her movements too sharp for their eyes. But there were too many. She took strikes to her side, her shoulder, blood staining her uniform. Still she did not fall. Her eyes burned brighter, her body refusing to yield. One cadet hissed in panic, "She's unstoppable." The fight ended with silence, the attackers groaning on the floor. The human girl stood above them, her breath heavy, her body wounded, but her stance unbroken. She whispered, "This is not strength, this is fear," and walked away. The next morning, the academy was in uproar. Whispers spread like fire. Everyone knew what had happened, though no instructor dared to speak of it. The council's orders were clear. Test her, push her, break her. If she survives, she cannot be allowed to leave. The academy's trials grew harsher, more brutal. The machines turned deadlier, the rules twisted. Every day designed not to train, but to destroy her. And yet she endured, her body breaking, her blood spilling, but her spirit only growing sharper, stronger, brighter. Instructors watched with unease, their claws tapping, their eyes uncertain. Some began to whisper to each other in private. If this is one girl, what is their world like? If she survives all this, can anyone stop her? Far above, in the council chamber, the fear turned into cold decision. Humanity must never rise. She is the spark. We must extinguish it. A final plan was made, a plan that would not only end the cadet, but erase humanity's chance to ever challenge the galaxy. But the Council had already made one fatal mistake. They believed she was alone. The Council's plan was ruthless. They would not wait for the girl to grow stronger. They would not allow humanity to rise. Deep inside their chambers, a decision was signed. The human cadet must die. Orders were sent in shadows, not through open channels, but through secret whispers. The Academy received instructions. A final trial was to be prepared, one designed not to test, but to kill. The announcement came with thunder, the instructor's voice heavy. Cadets, tomorrow you will face the Apex trial, a simulation of war, a battlefield where only the strongest will survive. The hall erupted with unease. Even the bravest cadets shifted nervously, but the human girl only lifted her head, her eyes calm, her lips whispering, "I will be ready." That night, as she sat alone in her quarters, another message appeared on her console, short and sharp. "You are not alone. Watch the stars tomorrow." She stared at the words, her heart steady. She did not reply, but something inside her burned brighter. The next day, the Apex trial began. The arena transformed into a wasteland of fire and steel. War machines roared, drones rained down, the ground shook with explosions. The cadets scattered in panic, fighting for survival. But the girl did not panic. She moved with precision, her body a blur, every strike calculated, every step controlled. She destroyed drones, tore down machines, her screams of effort echoing across the arena. The Council watched from their chamber, their faces grim, their voices sharp. She will not survive. She cannot survive. But she did, again and again. She refused to fall. Her uniform burned, her arms bleeding, her lungs screaming, yet her eyes shone like fire. Then the arena shifted. The machines combined into a single colossus, a towering beast of steel and claw. Asthma, designed to crush anything in its path. The cadets froze, fear locking their limbs, but the human girl charged forward, her fists clenched, her body small against the giant, yet her will vast as the stars. She climbed the beast, dodging plasma fire, leaping across steel limbs, her hands tearing into circuits, her screams rising louder. Finally, she reached its core, and with one final strike, she shattered it. The beast collapsed, the ground shook, fire and sparks filled the arena, silence followed. The scoreboard flashed. Apex trial complete, Galactic Records shattered. The cadets stared in awe, their fear turning into silence. The instructors bowed their heads. The Council fell into chaos. This is impossible. She is not just a cadet. She is the beginning of something greater. Above the Academy, ships moved, human ships, their signals clear, their presence undeniable. The hidden message was true. She was not alone. Humanity had come to watch, to protect, to rise. The girl stood in the arena, her body broken but unyielding. She raised her head toward the council chamber, her voice calm but heavy with fire. "You feared me because I am human, but I am only one. There are billions more, and we are coming." The chamber fell into silence. Across the galaxy, whispers began. "The Deathworlders are here. The humans have risen. No empire is safe." The girl turned, walking out of the arena, every step echoing like thunder. Her shadow long, her presence unstoppable. The galaxy would never be the same again.